It should come as no surprise to DoD contractors and subcontractors that certification under the new CMMC security framework will soon become a prerequisite to bid on or participate in DoD contracts. All indications are that the program will be rolled out before year's end, and contractors not already well on their way toward certification are putting their revenue stream and viability as a DoD contractor at risk. Welcome to another GrowthMasters Federal presentation on growing your business in the federal sector. Your host is Shirley Collier, President and founder of Scale to Market. Scale to Market helps businesses think, plan, collaborate, and build market value by developing and executing customized, data-driven business development playbooks, building efficient information systems, and creating high-performing BD teams. Shirley is joined today by Steve Reed, Director of Sales for KTL Solutions, a gold-certified Microsoft partner helping companies across the Mid-Atlantic implement the guidelines and achieve certification. And now here's Shirley with her guest, Steve Reed. Enjoy the conversation.
Hello everyone and welcome. If you are a Department of Defense contractor or wish to become one, you will want to listen carefully to this episode. The aggregate loss of controlled, unclassified information from the defense industrial base increases risk to the national economic security and, in turn, national security. To reduce this risk, federal contractors are being required to enhance the protection of CUI, or this controlled, unclassified information, in their networks. The Council of Economic Advisors, an agency within the Executive Office of the President, estimates that malicious cyber activity cost the U.S. economy between $57 billion and $109 billion in 2016 alone. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, in partnership with McAfee, reports that as much as $600 billion, nearly 1% of global GDP, may be lost to cybercrime each year. And that estimate is up from a 2014 study that put global losses at about $445 billion. In September of 2018, Patrick Shanahan, then the department's acting secretary, said cybersecurity would become a key measurement for how industry is judged by the Department of Defense. He called it the fourth critical measurement behind quality, cost, and schedule. That's why we're talking about this today. My guest to ferret out the DoD's CMMC framework is Steve Reed, Director of Sales at KTL Solutions. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this important and very timely topic.
Well, I'm so glad that you are here. Now, Steve, we only briefly introduced you. Tell our audience a little more about you and what your company does.
Thanks, Shirley. Of course. KTL Solutions is a gold-certified Microsoft partner. We're located in the D.C. metro area. We are a full-service technology consulting company, and we work with organizations across all industries and sizes to streamline processes and implement business technology solutions on the Microsoft stack. I am the Director of Sales at KTL, and I lead the business development efforts for all of our offerings across all of the vertical markets, including all of our government contracting clients. We help them implement Microsoft technology to streamline their businesses and, most importantly, remain in a compliant environment.
Excellent. So let's begin with the basics. What is the CMMC framework?
Yes, CMMC stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. CMMC will serve as the DoD's verification mechanism designed to ensure cybersecurity controls and processes adequately protect CUI on the federal contractors' networks. CMMC will encompass multiple maturity levels from basic cybersecurity hygiene to advanced. These levels are all designed to safeguard the government's assets and information from cyber attacks on direct or indirect DoD contractors. The intent is to identify the required CMMC level in RFPs, and only contractors certified at the identified level will be able to bid on that RFP. The CMMC is intended to serve as a verification mechanism to ensure appropriate levels of cybersecurity practices and processes are in place to ensure basic cyber hygiene, as well as protect controlled, unclassified information.
So, Steve, do contractors have to meet CMMC requirements at the time of proposal submission or at the time of award?
Currently at the time of award.
And does this framework apply to classified systems or environments as well?
No, it does not. This is dealing with unclassified data.
Okay. So if you're using a classified system, then there are certain levels within that appropriate classification system that covers these requirements and then some.
That's correct.
Does CMMC apply to contractors' products as well as their networks?
Your products won't be certified for CMMC, but CMMC follows many other regulations like DFARS, ITAR, and NIST, so they will closely align.
So if you sell a product to the government already, then you currently have to comply with these other regulations related to cybersecurity, and CMMC will be additive.
That is correct.
So what are the various maturity levels?
Yes, so there are 5 levels to the CMMC. Level 1 is the basic cyber hygiene level. It has 17 security controls. Level 2 is the intermediate cyber hygiene, 46 controls. There's level 3, which is the good cyber hygiene. It has 46 controls. It's essentially the equivalent to NIST 800-171. Level 4 is proactive. It has 26 controls, and then there's level 5, which is advanced and progressive, and it has 4 additional controls. For the sub-500 person organizations, I think level 5 will be very hard to attain, as it requires having a 24/7 security operations center or a SOC. Most of the companies that we are working with are targeting to be level 3 or level 4 strategically for their current contracts and for winning new work and growing their business.
Can you tell us a little more about the nature of the controls necessary to reach level 4 compliance? I know many small businesses are anxious about the cost to implement the necessary hardware, software, and internal processes for this level.
Yes. CMMC Level 4 essentially covers all the controls of NIST 800-171 and then adds on some additional controls. Level 4 states an organization has a substantial and proactive cybersecurity program. These organizations have resources to proactively prevent against attacks. Level 4 also requires companies to have asset tracking, conduct awareness for training and users, automated incident responses, and etc. The controls are still in flux, and more could be added or taken away before the final version is released.
In addition to cybersecurity control standards, to what extent will the CMMC also measure the maturity of a company's institutionalization of cybersecurity practices and policies?
Yeah, the internal company processes are going to be a huge factor in CMMC. Having policies in place for what your users can and cannot do is going to be extremely important.
Is it just having policies in place that's going to be enough?
No, the CMMC is also going to validate not only that you have the policies, but in fact your company is actually following the policies.
Okay, yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
There are existing DFARS regulations regarding vendor cybersecurity, such as 252.205.7012, that is based on trust. Does CMMC differ?
CMC builds upon existing regulations and adds a verification component.
Okay, that component that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Will civilian agencies use CMMC in addition to the DoD?
Not at this time, but it is developing and could happen in the future.
Okay, yeah, we expect that to be the case. If not this year, then next year.
Exactly.
What about DoD subcontractors, Steve? Will they need to be certified as well?
Yes. Anyone doing business with the DoD, even indirectly, will need to be certified.
So what will be the responsibility of primes to ensure that their subs are certified?
That's a very good question. The prime is responsible for enforcing regulations on their subs. We have encountered many subs whose primes are requiring them to be certified and taking an in-depth look at the subcontractors' environments. Just having your environment as a prime certified is not going to be enough. If the people you work with every day are susceptible to an attack or a spill, it puts you at risk. For example, a prime may have a policy in place that their employees cannot access certain data outside of their network. However, they may not know that the subcontractor is accessing CUI data at home from an unsecured computer. This is a huge risk.
Okay, so assuming that many prime contractors are large and the subcontractors are small, what is the impact of this CMMC certification requirement on small contractors?
Well, unlike previous certifications, CMMC does not allow for self-certification anymore. Any DoD contractor will have to work directly with an accredited or independent third-party certification company to be assessed. Even DoD contractors that do not hold any CUI will still need to be certified.
So how will contractors know what CMMC level is required for a given contract?
It will be stated in the contract.
So where in the RFP will the CMMC level be stated?
The required CMMC level will be contained in sections L and M of the request for proposal.
Okay, excellent. Steve, we need to take a break. We're talking to Steve Reed, Director of Sales at KTL Solutions, about DoD's new CMMC certification requirements for contractors. When we come back, we'll talk about the cost of certification and what you should do in 2020 to prepare to win DoD contracts. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Today's discussion is brought to you by Scale to Market, and your host is Shirley Collier. Utilizing the proprietary Davy Business Development Growth Framework, Scale to Market partners with business owners and executives to increase their company's value by achieving profitable and sustainable growth in the federal marketplace. Email Shirley at scollier@scaletomarket.com to obtain your copy of the Davy Growth Framework. Scale to Market now has available the Entrepreneur's Playbook, priced and scaled for federal contractors with less than 20 employees or $2 million in federal revenues. The Entrepreneur's Playbook focuses specifically on the key activities necessary for small businesses to be successful in identifying, qualifying for, and winning federal contracts. And now back to Shirley's discussion of the new CMMC security framework and certification requirements with Steve Reed, Director of Sales at KTL Solutions, as they move on to costs, effort required, the certification process, first steps, and more.
Welcome back. We're talking with Steve Reed, BD Manager for KTL Consulting, about the new CMMC security requirements, a critical issue for all companies doing business or desiring to do business with the Department of Defense. Before the break, Steve, you said that the required CMMC level will be contained in sections L and M of DoD RFPs. I assume that means that the cost of certification will be considered an allowable reimbursable cost, so there's really no reason for small contractors not to become certified.
That is correct. There's no reason anyone should be ignoring this.
How can government contractors then achieve CMMC compliance?
Well, before being assessed by a third-party auditor, there are several steps an organization can take to check their compliance. They can assess where CUI is held in any of their business systems, including email and collaboration tools. They can assess their internal policies. What do your employees have access to inside and outside of your network? What is the state of your infrastructure? Is hardware FIPS compliant, or does it need to be updated? So there are several steps they can begin to take prior to contacting the third-party auditor.
Excellent. Will a company's certification level be made public?
Your certification level will be made public. However, details regarding specific findings will not be publicly accessible. The DoD will see your certification level.
How often do contractors' organizations need to be reassessed?
Well, this is still being considered and hasn't been defined yet, but I expect we're going to see every few years. I seriously doubt that it will be a one-and-done certification.
What are the compliance options in the cloud? I mean, as you know, a lot of small businesses operate almost exclusively in the cloud these days.
That's correct. Most small organizations operate in a cloud-only environment. This means they have little to no infrastructure or on-premise applications or servers. While this is great for scalability and is very cost-effective, it can be an issue when it comes to compliance. There are very limited options when it comes to being compliant in the cloud. The biggest player at the table is easily Microsoft. Many defense industry-based contractors, or DIBs, are using the Office 365 cloud for email and collaboration today, although the standard commercial Office 365 cloud is not compliant. Microsoft actually has completely separate cloud environments for DoD contractors. Most people do not realize that Microsoft has 4 different cloud environments. They have the commercial cloud, they have the GCC cloud, they have GCC High, and then they have the DoD cloud. This cloud, called Government Community High, is for defense industry contractors that have ITAR, have DFARS requirements, and NIST compliant requirements. That there are some dependencies on hosting infrastructure in Azure government. Anyone looking to obtain level 3 or higher in the new CMMC model will need to be in the GCC High cloud. Commercial Office 365 or the regular GCC cloud will not cut it. GCC High offers features that anyone holding CUI data will need, like being in a continental U.S. data center only, complying with flow-down requirements of DFARS, and it's FedRAMP High compliant.
So if you're a defense contractor and not using Microsoft, whatever solution you use, you should ensure that that cloud provider is ITAR, DFARS, NIST, and level 4 minimum CMMC compliant, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. So how long does becoming CMMC compliant take?
Well, this is not going to be a quick process. Evaluating internal applications, policies, hardware, and migrating onto a compliant email and collaboration platform takes quite a bit of time. CMMC is slated to start showing up in RFPs by late 2020, with full compliance and auditing taking a good 6 months. All DoD contractors should be starting the process ASAP.
Yeah, that makes sense. Generally, how much will it cost to become certified?
Well, this is hugely dependent on how many employees you have, the type of work you do, and what level you are looking to attain.
Can you give us a range? Are we talking about tens of thousands of dollars?
Yes, I think you probably are. I would expect for a small contractor, you would expect to reach compliance to be maybe $20,000 plus to reach level 3 or 4, especially if not much is being done now, meaning that you have a long way to go to become compliant. You can expect, to need to move to a compliant email system and collaboration platform. You're going to need to update hardware to be FIPS compliant if it isn't already, and start documenting where CUI resides in your environment and who has access to it.
And what about if you're working with subcontractors? What should you be doing right now?
If you're working with subs, you need to start conversation with them right away.
Okay, I would agree with that. Has CMMC Model 1 been released?
Yes, it has. The Model 1 was released in the early part of February 2020.
And when will third-party certifiers be accredited?
Well, they are actually being certified now on a website called complyup.com, complyup.com. If you go to that website, they have a CMMC auditor marketplace. You can go on there, and there is a list of well over 200 auditors that are already been approved and are ready to start providing accreditation and auditing services to contractors.
Good. Thank you for that, Steve. And when do you expect CMMC to become a requirement in RFPs?
We expect them to start showing up and being a requirement in the latter part of 2020.
Wow, that is right around the corner. So where can our audience go to learn more?
You can go to our website, which is ktlsolutions.com, or head to the Microsoft Public Sector blog on microsofttech.net.
Is the DoD planning on releasing any additional public information?
Yes, we should see more information coming out in mid-2020. I think the best way for companies to get started is to start evaluating your IT environment, make a plan of short-term and long-term goals for compliance, and contact third-party accreditation providers.
Excellent. Steve, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge on this important, timely topic with us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Shirley. CMMC is changing the compliance landscape, and I hope I was able to shed some light on this topic that is going to be affecting all DoD contractors.
Well, you certainly did. I really appreciate your time today. And folks, if you want to get in touch with Steve, he can be reached at sreid@ktlsolutions.com. That's SREID@ktlsolutions.com. Or you can reach out to us here at Scale to Market, and we'll make sure you're connected. This is Shirley Collier, President of Scale to Market and host of the Growth Masters Federal Podcast, signing off for now. As we close, I want to thank you for joining us today and encourage you to visit our website where you will find our library of podcasts, webcasts, white papers, my blog, and other resources. While there, please leave us a comment or suggestion so we can stay focused on what's important to you. We'll see you next time.
Learn more about getting into compliance with CMMC at complyup.com. And for more information on how to instill enduring BD management principles into your GovCon business, or to learn more about the new Entrepreneur's Playbook, give us a call, reach out on LinkedIn, or visit our website at scaletomarket.com. That's scaled2market.com. For those who get their information on the go, you can find the podcast wherever you get yours, and subscribing to the Growth Masters Federal channel will ensure you don't miss any. As Shirley said, and as always, we welcome your feedback and hope you'll join us again soon for another informative Growth Masters Federal presentation.